Hey guys, welcome back to Boxmining. Today we've got a really exciting episode because right now the matrices pointing towards Bitcoin rallying is gaining day by day by day. We're seeing huge kind of figures and data suggesting that Bitcoin could be gearing up for a massive run. And because we're kind of reviving a lot of the discussion topics, I want to discuss two topics today in today's video as well that are combining the leading narratives for the next bull run, which is number one, what is happening in the AI space. Then we have a gaming adjacent project, which is XBorg. And I feel like this is so poorly explained that I really want to explain why this is super important for building an infrastructure for Web3 gaming. Before I go, guys, everything covered here is our personal opinion, not financial advice. Let's get started. So first bit of just some positive news, and this was actually really spun up by Cointelegraph. 75% of all Bitcoin has been HODL for over 6 months. And if you look at data for this, which is the HODL waves on Unchained.com, this actually plots a graph of Bitcoin over all time. On one side, you see the chart, which is the price of Bitcoin, and then you see the movement. So the more red, it means the more new wallets and the more recent transactions in terms of just Bitcoin transactions and Bitcoin movement. So this is actually quite interesting because one trend that you can clearly see is that every time crypto like Bitcoin rallies, let's say for example the 2012 wave, also 2014, and you can see this in 2016, is that once the price goes up, there were huge transactions of recent wallets. So these are new players that are just pure speculating, right? They're riding a wave out, right? They're basically buying Bitcoin, then just dumping it, and then causing the crash later, right? This is kind of the pattern we've seen historically with Bitcoin. And you saw this as well in 2020 here. You can see this hump here. And I think this is quite telling, like this red. So I would say here, this like kind of, 3 month or less, like recent wallets, like if 40% of coin movements are from recent new wallets or from recent new Bitcoin transactions, that means it's lots of speculation, right? The speculative bubble is going to be huge. So people holding Bitcoin, they're not putting in deep storage. So the top side of this, basically these are new players. The more red they are, the more they are new players. And then the more blue they are, or more purple they are, they're more the long-term hodlers, the ones that just really don't care and they hodl for a long time. So the most purple one is the purple one actually rather is 10 years. They've been holding their last transaction in that wallet has been 10 years. That's like crazy, right? So one thing I see is that there's a growth in this 10 years. But what's actually quite interesting is that for this wave is that we actually didn't have a huge spike. So unlike the last few times, like this, I would say it was like probably the largest speculative bubble. This was in 2018, like January 2018, like the end of 2017, 2018. This is where the speculation was highest and then where the crash was most brutal. But rather here recently, we've gone up quite a bit, but look at these new wallets. It wasn't that great. And then now we dropped down. Like now we have a large amount of hodlers. It's actually very promising. It's like when hodlers increase like that, so when you see this amount of green, right? So this like, I would say it's almost 50% or more of this green bar. That's when prices actually start increasing. So you actually kind of see that here. Early 2016, like there's just basically no movement. Like people are hodling, and then bam, the explosive hockey stick action came up. So the warm colors are like dump is coming.
Yeah.
And then the green colors are like pump is coming. And we actually see a lot of green. Look at how much green we have here. So even to this date, right? Even after here, there's a lot of hodlers. So this, I would say, 2014, we got all-time highs, right? But we didn't really have the huge speculative dump pressure that we could potentially have. So this is actually really promising for crypto. And you have to remember that these are logarithmic charts, which is why you can see all the prices, right? So log charts, like every time you move a block, it's 10 times.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's a little bit hard to understand, but here you can see that. You can see the spike of new wallets, new speculators coming in. Speculators speculate, boom, 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 and then crash here, right? And then you do get some trading here, but after the crash, it takes a while for the whole cycle to recover. So fear and greed index, this is also a good indicator. Like right now, we're still in fear. We were in extreme fear last month. So it's a fearful month, which is, yet again, this is music to my ears. For a long-term hodler, it's music to my ears because, you know, we're good at like buying and hodling for a long period of time. And that's where true profits are locked in. Like with the people who are making 10, 20%, they're coming in like at this point, and then they're taking like the 20%, but then they're putting out huge amounts of risk, right? And people who want to make 10, 20, 50, 100x, they're coming in at this point. Like max fear level, and then they're raking it.
The long term just has to stand the test of time. If you can hodl for at least a year, congratulations.
Exactly, exactly. That's the crazy part. But something I was talking about last session was that this is like almost a repeat of last year. So if you actually look at the chart, so let's say this is the one year chart, right now there's sideways motion since Feb, and like kind of like a sideways motion and a decline. All right, but if you just put the time window to around last time this year, yet again, growth early, all right, March 2023, a little bit of growth, and then we got like August, September were pretty much kind of decline months. Like it was going down, volume was going down, just boring. And then of course after that, that was when, you know, this happened. So right now we're still in here. So if this was a repeat, if we're repeating what we saw last year, there's lots of stagnation. People thought crypto was dead. You know, August, September, October, very boring months. And all of a sudden we have, all right, we have November, December, and January.
Yeah.
And then look at these huge pumps here. That's like insanity, right? So I almost see this type of patterning happening this year, which is, you know, quite exciting for me, to be honest. Last bit of data. So I just want to show you guys this. Like right now, we do see institutional interest, and something that's quite interesting is that right now we are at the point of nobody gives a fuck. Okay, this is there's no, like, this is the professional name for it. I'm gonna give the professional box mining analysis professional name of nobody gives a fuck right now. All right, okay, so
NGAF.
NGAF. Right now we are in NGAF for Bitcoin. Look at this. This is most important, right? Inflows. Early on, inflows during February months, the launch of the Bitcoin ETF. People were buying the ETF up. Then we had outflows when the fear was max. Okay, we had 2 waves of outflows. And then now we have basically, like no inflows, no outflows, just no one cares.
Indecision.
And I think this is, yet again, it's a sign that there's a little bit of stagnation, but that stagnation is really good for basically preparing for next bull run. Last Bitcoin chart data, there's 2 bits of information I want to look at. Okay, so this is very quickly. Just active addresses are going down. Okay, that's good and bad. It means that people, the people who decided to hodling, and this is kind of in line with the data that we're seeing here, which is that the large chunks of blue and violet, which is people that are hodling, they just don't care. They're not even moving coins out of their wallet. So this kind of coincides with that. So 2 bits of data aligning on that. The other one that I would say is this is something that, like, as a Bitcoin, OG Bitcoin guy, I honestly care about, which is the Bitcoin rainbow chart. This is the new one. So Bitcoin price plot on a logarithmic graph, put the halvings on there. So first, second, third, and fourth halving. These are when Bitcoin production number halves. And it's always 6 to 8 months, and then sometimes a little bit longer, maybe like 6 months to a year after, where we see a huge mega pump. This is when people cannot capture, the people who want to get into crypto, they cannot find the supply because the amount mined gets halved. So the supply gets choked after the halving. And it takes some time for the markets to react. So this happened basically 3 times. Look at this. Like this major pump happened after halving. This major pump happened after halving. This major pump happened after the halving. And yet again, we're going to experience the same thing, right? Where the halving already happened this year, and then the supplies are going to get choked out. We're kind of right now in the accumulate range. It could drop down a little bit before we have the pump up, but once the pump comes, it's pretty much unstoppable. That was historically, it's happened like 3 times. So actually two bits on Bitcoin that's quite interesting. We've got Bitcoin dogs. This is something to watch this week because Bitcoin dogs, they were the ones that did the first ICO on Bitcoin blockchain. They're the ones that try to make the Bitcoin guys degen. So I think the meta picture for this is really important to look at because Bitcoin guys are the most OG and the richest. Because of how OG Bitcoin is, the people who have wallets that are, what we're saying, the wallets that have been unmoved for 10 years, it's about having tens of thousands of Bitcoins, thousands or tens of thousands of Bitcoin.
Back when they were worth 30 cents.
Back when they were worth 30 cents. So these guys are now being activated by Bitcoin-based ICOs. So this is why I think this is very important to look at and to see what this community can do, because I feel like the Bitcoin guys were kind of left out, right? They saw Ethereum had a bunch of ICOs and a bunch of memes, and a Solana came along, a bunch of memes, and there wasn't really a good option for Bitcoin maxis and Bitcoin OGs to really play in that ecosystem. For them, there's a bit of pride saying, you know what, I'm OG Bitcoin, right? Why would I want to play on Ethereum? But here, because of BRC20 and kind of the journey with BRC20, this allowed Bitcoin hodlers and the OGs to activate. And I think this is one of the situations where you cannot underestimate that community, because that community, they're the ones that they bought Bitcoin at like 20 cents or 40 cents or at $10, right? So they have that Bitcoin to just throw around, and in their minds, Bitcoin's just $10. Who cares? throw in a few dogs, few NFTs, BRC20 universe. And I feel like this is also where, because this is one of the first, one of the largest as well, this is going to be the largest dominating meme on Bitcoin. Because when we look at coins, we kind of see, okay, what's the kind of flagship? We saw Bread, we featured Bread on the Boxmining channel. That was the biggest one for base, right? Foxy for Linea. Can Bitcoin dogs be Bitcoins?
The mascot for Bitcoin.
The mascot for Bitcoin. So I feel like this is what's going to be exciting to look at on August 24th, when they get listed. I want to see how this goes. If this goes crazy and the Bitcoin community activates, holy shit.
8 figures for pre-sale is very, very impressive.
And then also, we actually have Babylon coming up soon,
yes,
which is very exciting.
So for Babylon, if you have the Staking Pioneer NFT, you're going to be able to claim rewards from several protocols on Babylon.
Ooh.
That includes Slinky Network. There's also a couple of other. But most of what's happening in Babylon right now is a lot of Bitcoin liquid staking protocols that have launched with Babylon. So there's tons of protocols that you can earn yields from your Bitcoin. Some of them will also do an airdrop. So there is Lombard Finance. I think I talked about this last week. The waitlist registration is already over, but you can keep a close eye on this when their protocol goes live. Lombard Finance. So yeah, there's also tons. Definitely. Solve protocol is also one of them. So many things to do if you are a Bitcoin maxi for Babylon. So Babylon is just one of those chains that you can use to play DeFi with. Bitcoin.
So dogs and Babylon happening with the Bitcoin community. All right, let's move on to the next topic, which is kind of like the investment scene, which is, how would I even describe it? Catastrophic.
You mean VCs?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is a touchy subject because obviously right now the industry's excitement level is not too high. Right, that's the understatement of the century. Right now, if you're asking someone to invest, people are gonna be like, "Shh, get away from me, get away." Right? Back in the day, you'd be like, "Oh, I want as many investments as possible." Right? I want anything degen. Right? Like let's say February, March, I was very aggressive hunting for new deals. Right? I want any industry, RWA, whether it be RWA, whether it be gaming, whether it be what else was hot, DPIN, all these hot topics. I want projects exposure in everything. But now obviously there's almost a total collapse, right? People are, instead of asking for allocation, they're asking for refunds, right? There's an about phase, but that's actually really good for I think the space overall, because yet again it's max fear time. Right, this is when it's actually good to see what's substantial to build in this space. So one thing I would say right now is still probably one of the hottest ones is AI. So Brian Armstrong posted us recently up. So LLMs should have crypto wallets. So this is referring to all the big LLMs like ChatGPT or Gemini. So why is this? Let's help AI agents get work done on your behalf and participate in the economy. Reach out and let us know what you're building. Side note, every checkout experience will need to support AI agents buying things very soon. This is deeper than you might think. What is this really aiming at is the idea that in the future, it's not about workers. It's about AI agents, right? Like, Ron, sorry to put you out there, but like your old job as a writer can be replaced by an AI.
Yeah.
Technically, as a writer,
Already did.
already done, right? So AI agents, basically custom versions of AIs using these large language models, they will become essentially your workers. And then what Brian Armstrong is saying is that they should have crypto wallets. They need to spend, which is actually quite interesting, right? Like, not only are they behaving and gathering information, but they're gonna be able to almost emulate what a human does, right? Because as a human worker, you gotta have access to, like, let's say for example, you need access to the newest like data. You need to start paying for that data. Let's say for example, you wanna go on HODL Waves. And HODL Waves is charging you whatever amount of money to have access to this data and the elite version of this data. Then you gotta pay for it, right? So I think this is one of the use cases of blockchain that does make sense. Blockchain being a currency layer for AI makes sense. So I feel like having an infrastructure or something that's AI adjacent makes sense. And this is the AI adjacent philosophy, right? Can we make a data economy for AIs? Maybe that's pretty cool. So I think that's one area that we can look at. The second one that's actually quite interesting that's launching very soon, and this is related to gaming, is Player Identity Protocol. So this is XBorg, and they're launching very soon their XBorg token. And I feel like a lot of people don't really understand why we would need something like this, right? And I feel like I looked through all the material, and it wasn't very well explained. I want to slap someone in the face for this. Sorry for being violent, but so this is an infrastructure project for gaming, and it makes sense because right now there's a fragmentation of gaming ecosystems. All right. So let's say, for example, if you're playing games on PC, Steam, right? You get Steam, but Steam keeps all your information. So you log in, you create your account, you log in your achievements, your games, your cards, your Steam cards. Everything is locked and bound to a Steam account. Then you have, of course, the Epic Store, and it's a different account. Right? You're the same gamer, but it's Epic Foods is good too. But but Epic Store has a different account. And then with PlayStation Network, different account. Right? Like all these big gaming companies have different platforms, but as players, we want to have one account that represents our identity and be able to, my dream, of course, it's not just share achievements and share our kind of data, but eventually, even what if we can share games on that too? Like, what if I have one account for my gamer profile and I can just like play Space Marine 2, which is the game I'm excited for, on everything, on Steam, on PlayStation, on everything. And the only way that these big companies can work together is via blockchain. Because the problem here is Epic Games will never ever say support a Steam account on their platform. They'll never say, yeah, that's okay, right? Because these gaming companies, they'll be like, they have massive egos. Now they're like, they don't want to bow down to Steam. They want to have a decentralized platform where they'll be able to support it. They'll be able to say, hey, look, if there's a decentralized platform that nobody owns, nobody makes benefits from, like it's community owned, but yeah, sure, why not, right?
Yeah.
So I feel like that's probably the best explanation for this, like why an infrastructure project like this is really needed, is that you can actually suddenly combine everything together. So it's a player identity protocols, and it's not a game. And I think this is quite important because we've seen a lot of games issuing their own tokens out. But the problem is if the game fails, you suck.
Yeah.
It's gonna die. But if this is a protocol, it makes a lot of sense because yet again, it supports everyone. It's like NVIDIA. You know, NVIDIA is the guy selling tools for AI. This is like the identity protocol for gaming, which like I'm surprised not many other people have came out about it. And their onboarding process is really good too. They're actually targeting biggest games. I think you were interested in this until you saw, hey, wait, Team Liquid's in this?
Yeah, I saw Team Liquid, NIP, the big esports names. I was
And you're
like,
like, huh?
They're in this?
Wait, what?
I didn't know about that.
Wait, what? So yeah, so they're launching this week as well. So they're launching this week. I'm actually pretty excited to actually see something other than just a pure gaming play, but a gaming infrastructure play coming on this.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense.
Got it. Cool. So I think those are two interesting things: AI, gaming. But we'll talk a little bit about DePen, RWAs. I think those two last narratives that we'll save for another session. I actually really want to talk to the Mantra guys again on this. But I think today was a good discussion. We covered quite a bit. Bitcoin, trends and everything here. And I want to say a big thank you for community for coming back in and really supporting us through this time.
Yeah, man.
It was not easy. We were banned by YouTube. So YouTube literally banned us and you couldn't find any of our videos. It was all gone. We had to fight YouTube to get this channel back and restored. So we're finally back. We really appreciate you guys coming back. We have both channels up and running. So just a little bit of an update. So Alpha Drop is where we have the latest information, the bleeding edge. This is where we kind of scour Discord and like all of the, you know, private information groups. This is where we scour all of them and publish videos on that. And Boxmining is our more mainstream channel where this is where like more kind of known stuff. Anyways. All right, guys, thank you guys so much for watching today's video. We'll peace out. Thank you.
Shana!
Bye. Peace out, guys.